So I'm Marcus Dawson, CEO.
And I'm Dennis Gustafsson, CTO.
Because I want to talk about Teardown. What's it been like seeing this game come out and people have been playing it and getting the feedback on it, and like what's that experience been like for your company?
Yeah, it's been absolutely fantastic. Having worked on this game for almost 5 years, just starting by myself and then growing team, and now we're 9 people in our company and a bunch of people from Saber helping out, and just seeing the reception is beyond all expectations, really.
So where did the idea for this game originally come from?
It was one of those games that kind of grew organically. I was just goofing around with the technology, trying different things, and trying out this destruction with voxels, and then trying to come up with a good gameplay for it. It was a very organic process that took some time. But I think I have a history in game physics, and so it was kind of natural for me to start there and then try to find a good gameplay that could suit that extreme player freedom that the world gives you.
From a business standpoint, like what does this open up for you creatively or even financially now that Teardown's been a success and it's been out there and people are seeing what your studio can do, and like has that opened more doors for you from a business standpoint?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we were acquired last year by Saber Interactive, so now we have it's kind of a good situation.
More resources.
Yeah. So we have more possibilities and things like that, and so yeah. And I mean, the game's done well, so we have possibilities to like scale up. But at the same time, we want to keep the core of the game and what makes the game good. So we don't want to become like 500 people or something. It's just important is the game and make sure that it lives on in a proper way.
So I remember when voxels were like first being like talked about and shown off in game development, and this could be the next big thing. What do you think it is about voxels in particular that not many developers use that technology? A few do, maybe they might put it, but what is it about that technology that drove you to really utilize it and really take advantage of that software?
It started actually with a voxel editing program called Magica Voxel, and I really fell for the art style, so that's where it came from. But then the more I worked with it, the more I realized how many benefits there are to using voxels instead of polygons. So now it's just everywhere across the whole tech pipeline. So there really aren't any polygons anywhere anymore. So, and I just found out more benefits the more I worked with it. But I do think voxels, if you use them like the way we use them in Teardown, it's gonna force a certain art style onto the game that maybe doesn't fit everyone. But a lot of companies actually use voxels for like behind the scenes, even though you don't see it in the game. They're there. It can help out with things like lighting, for instance, or pathfinding and AI, or even modeling and content authoring use voxels quite a bit. So they're there. You just don't always see them in the games.
What I've seen about Teardown was that there's like a goal you achieve, where a lot of not voxel based games. A lot of certain games are kind of like just put in the sandbox, right? Do whatever you want, pace yourself. You guys have a timer and you guys have a goal. How did that develop when you were creating the game?
So that was actually one of the hardest parts of the development. The technology. It took a while, of course, to get there, but then once I had this sandbox world where you can go around and destroy stuff, coming up with a good gameplay was a really long process. It was almost a full year of prototyping and trying out different things, and we almost gave up at one point, and then I came back to it. So it was hard. I mean, that much freedom makes it really hard to design gameplay that fits with that, because you just don't have the constraints that you normally work with when you design games. So this two-phase heist structure was something that allowed, could pose a challenge to the player, even if you had a lot of resources and could modify the environment almost beyond recognition. You still had a challenge, which is not usually the case with other games. So.
Marcus, from a company standpoint, what was the biggest challenge for you creatively or even like maybe financially when developing a game? Because game development is a long, expensive process.
Yeah, and I think I came in, so I've been in the 1 year and a half. So Dennis started on his own, and there was more or less a product already, so that's kind of a good situation. But I think it's kind of to nurture the game and like keep it interesting and like grow it in the correct way. I think. I mean, it's always tricky when starting out, but you always need to start out and try something first. We've talked a lot about like what's the core concept of Tuxedo Labs and how we work, and we both consider that tech first. So like come up with an interesting tech product like the Voxel, and then come up with a game concept. Because if we can find the fun thing first and then decide the game, I think that's like a recipe for victory. So I think that's very important, and not start in the other way and saying like I need to do a Spider-Man game and then coming up how to slingshot around and things like that. So I think it's important to start with core loop and what's fun to play, and then create the game from that.
What's next for your studio, and like more Teardown, more Voxel stuff? You guys want to experiment with tech? Like what's next up for you guys? What would you guys want to do? Anything you can talk about that's in the works?
Should I take it? Sure. Yeah. So we had this. We did art panels. The update last fall. It was finished around before Christmas. And then we sat down during Christmas and, what's next? We had the intention that we should start up a new game and create that. But then it's 3 years in the making or something like that. And also, like, Teardown is doing really great. And we have a wonderful community that really likes the game. Yeah, we don't want to abandon that. So we decided that we will keep on working with Teardown. So we have a lot of interesting things in the pipeline, really, that we're working on. I can't say that much. I really hoped I could, but nothing yet. The one thing that we have on the horizon that's coming quite soon is the creative mode, which is a new feature. Do you want to mention?
So creative mode is, I think of creative mode as the 3D version of the spray can, so you can like paint stuff with it. It's really not meant to build entire levels or precision work, but it's a fun way to draw voxels, to create new objects. We're trying to find the right balance of fun and precision, so to speak. But I think we're pretty close on that one. It's really fun. You can build new objects. You can smash them to pieces. You can paint. You can also add new objects to existing levels. You can load up any of our Sandbox levels or any modded level and start like just goofing around with that. And yeah, it's quite fun.
Now that this game has been a success and your studio is growing, being acquired by Saber, is there any pressure to like? We want to keep supporting Teardown. Is there any pressure for like a Teardown 2? Like, and even elaborating on that, like, when do you do a sequel, or when do you just keep supporting the core game? Like, is that something you guys discuss internally sometimes?
Those discussions have been had a lot. That was one of the big things we talked about this fall. But I think, and I don't want to like set anything in stone, but I don't think we will do a Teardown 2 at the moment. We don't see like the beneficial. We are working on Teardown right now and expanding it and making it cool and better. If we run into like a technical, we really want to do this, but it will not be possible, then perhaps we could reconsider. But we're focusing on Teardown now. And I think if we make a new game, it could be based on something completely different. I mean, we try to work with different tech solutions and find the best thing and create a game out of that. So it could be anything. Dennis has a lot of like interesting prototypes in all kind of things. So we have a lot of things to try out. So if we start a new game, might not be Teardown 2.